Hi everyone, I'm Chris Parrish, also known as Paris at Daz3D.com. I'm really excited to tell you about this product I've been working on for Daz Studio called IBL Master, particularly because it brings with it some features that many users have been waiting for. Now the IBL in the name stands for image-based light. So this product is all about ease of use, saving time, greater control, and more flexibility when working with IBL and these finely crafted, high dynamic range images that are popping up everywhere. So for this overview video, I'll focus on the 5 key features of IBL Master. These are accurate real-time 3D preview of HDRIs, bidirectional remote control, renderer detection, a new and improved image-based light shader for 3D-Light, and rigged boost lights. To kick things off, let's take a look at what real-time 3D preview adds to the default setup in Daz Studio. With standard directional lights, such as distant lights or spotlights, we have in-scene indicators that show us which direction the light is pointing. While these lights are easy to aim, it would be difficult to adequately simulate the complexities of real-world lighting using just these lights. Fortunately, image-based lighting is one of the most realistic methods we have, since it simulates bounced light as well as direct light using a 360-degree view of a real-world environment. It's also probably the least intuitive light type to work with in the viewport, because it's difficult to predict where the light will be regardless of which render engine you are using. For users, pre-visualization of the light is an important part of scene setup because we want to orient the lighting direction, predict where shadows will be cast, capture reflections in the eyes and other reflective surfaces, and optionally position background elements from the HDRI for use in our final render. So what are the challenges in using IBL without IBL Master? Well, first I'll show the Iray side. Here I have the viewport draw style set to NVIDIA Iray. In the Render Settings tab, I've got Draw Dome on, Visualize Finite Dome on, and the dome scale small enough so that I can easily see the whole thing in my viewport. Ideally, this sphere should give me a preview of the whole HDRI, but as I rotate, you can see that the sky and sun are not visible on the sphere. So this doesn't give me a very clear indication of lighting direction. Now I'll choose an OpenGL draw style, and we can see that there isn't anything in the viewport that represents the light at all. Here's the 3D-Light side. I've loaded Uber Environment 2, and again the preview sphere is scaled down. I've rotated the sphere so I can see that the light should be cast from the front, my upper right. Now if I execute a render, you can see the light is coming from a totally different direction than anticipated. Now I'll load IBL Master. It gives me a scaled preview so I can see what's behind me. I also have an accurate actual size preview so that if I want to use the background in the render, I can see where elements of the HDRI will be. All I have to do is rotate this control sphere, and I can reasonably predict where the light will be. It's synchronized to be seamless between Iray and 3D-Light. To demonstrate what this looks like in the render, I've got this Photoshop file. Here we have an Iray render on the left, and on the right is 3D-Light. Please notice that the lighting direction is the same. Lighting quality and characteristics are also equivalent between render engines. Now Daz Studio has always given you the ability to composite elements from either renderer, but now for the first time you can pick and choose what you like about Iray or 3D-Light and composite the best of both without having to worry about differences in IBL lighting. Now let's look at the second feature I mentioned. This is bidirectional remote control, which is also about synchronization. We have other forms of remote control with ERC and aliases. Bidirectional remote control stays synchronized just like an alias, but it's different in that it works between separate entities like props, figures, or even the Iray environment. And it works with image maps as well. Look at what happens when I load an HDRI or preset. The image is changed everywhere, in Iray render settings, on the small preview sphere, on the actual scale background sphere, and on the 3-to-light light shader as well. We can also perform transforms, rotation, translation, and scale in any one of these places, and they all stay synchronized. Next, let's focus on the background and I'll demonstrate renderer detection. With Iray, this background sphere is purely for preview in the viewport. It's hidden from the render so it doesn't block the light or the visibility of the Iray dome. But when I switch to 3-to-light, the background sphere automatically becomes visible in the render, and the new IBL light for 3-to-light takes over. Which brings us to this brand new image-based light shader for 3-to-light. This is what delivers the match direction and comparable quality I showed previously. Additionally, because we have more access to edit how 3-to-light does things, the IBLM light gives 3-to-light users control over several other properties for the light. For time's sake, I'll save the explanation of these parameters for another video. But there is plenty here, both new and familiar, that users will find valuable and innovative. Yet probably the most startling development for the 3-to-light side is the speed. Even with multi-layered transmapped hair in scene, IBLM light renders at least 5 times faster than Uber Environment 2. That makes render times very close to those of Iray's on my machine. Let's take a look at the stats. Here we can see that render times on the 3-to-light side, utilizing my old AMD FX 8350 CPU, rivaled that of Iray using a GTX 980 Ti. Lastly, we have one more trick aimed specifically at Iray, but also an option for 3-to-light. I call these boost lights. With the current Iray setup, adjustments to light brightness for the subject, whether made in environment intensity or tone mapping, affects the background as well. So depending on the HDRI used, getting the subject properly lit might make the background too bright or bleached out. So to work around this, IBL Master has ghost lights rigged to these 6 color-coded targets. Moving the target to a light source on the map allows you to match the light direction of the HDRI, effectively boosting the light on the subject without bleaching the background. And because it's a ghost light, it won't interfere with the photographic realism of the HDRI light source in reflections. Matching the shadow direction with traditional lights would be difficult, because while you can aim the light at the subject by looking through the light camera, you can't accurately determine if the light is positioned so that it is in a direct path between the HDRI light source and the subject. So boost lights make this easier. Okay, so this concludes the demonstration of IBL Master's 5 key features. Thank you for taking the time and allowing me to show you what IBL Master can do. This product represents the most challenging effort for me since I became a Daz PA, and it could not have been completed without critical help from the folks at Daz 3D and 3-to-light. Thank you all.